All right, B. So I got a question for you, or more so, I want to bring something to your attention. Maybe you already saw it, but I saw an article that said if your raise this year was less than 7.1%, it actually didn't keep up with inflation, and you basically got a pay cut.
Right.
And so there's a lot of people that are in that situation where they feel like they're on top of the world. They maybe made a little bit of extra money, and they made less than, I mean, made more than last year, but they really didn't because of everything going on. Like, what are your thoughts for, trying to get ahead, or those people in that situation? Like, what can they do, or what should they do?
Yeah. Well, the number one thing they should do is make sure to vote for people who are not going to put us in a position where we have massive inflation. And then before even that, we printed so much money, right? Remember, in 2020 alone, we as in the country printed 40% of all the money the United States has ever had was printed 40% in 2020. Like, that is a lot of money to be printed and put out through all those PPP loans, through all those like bonus checks that were sending humanity. They increased everybody's unemployment rate. And I don't know what someone's position is on the pandemic. Well, hey, people couldn't work, so they still needed money, whatever. Well, this is the byproduct of that. You print all this money as a government. You try and use that money as a way of bribing people to vote for you and say, hey, we're going to tax the rich. And they do. They taxed me. The rich got taxed, but they also tax the working class through inflation. So inflation is a tax on everybody. So I got taxed, and the inflation is a tax on me, but now the inflation is a tax on the working class as well, because up until that point, a normal cost of living raise is about 3 to 4%. And all that means is if you get a 3 to 4% cost of living raise, that means that you're making the same money this year and last year. Like if a Snickers bar went up by 3 cents this year, but you got a 3% cost of living raise, hey, you're good. Well, guess what? Snickers bar doubled in price. Chicken breast went up by something like 200%. Bacon went up by 150%. Gas, we saw what happened with gas prices, right? And so what business is going to give their employees 7.1% increase in pay when they themselves are dealing with cost of goods issues? Marketing has gotten more expensive than ever. Restrictions and mandates limit, in terms of like corporations, how far employees can be from each other. So companies are pumping out less stuff, and they're paying more for cost of goods. There's a delay in delivery and shipping, which means someone's puts an order in online. They didn't get the product right away because we've gotten so used to getting a product delivered right away. They cancel. And so companies are making less money than ever. But because of inflation, employees are in a position where unless they got 7% or higher pay raise, yeah, they're actually making less money. And for the first time ever, employees and employers are in the same boat, fighting the same battle. Usually, the employers are making more money and therefore can give a 3, 4, 5%, if you're a great employee, 6%, 7% increase. But when the employer, the business doesn't have the money, we're going to give that raise from. You can't. And so what is the number one thing people can do? Do not vote for people that say we're going to tax the rich, because the rich always find a way to pass that along to their customers, right? Maybe raising prices, whatever. And then what happens usually is inflation or some kind of recession that ends up taxing the working class, and therefore everybody takes it in the shorts. And so if we can start voting for people who will run this country like it's a business and balancing the budget, like the country's budget has not been balanced for something like 18 years. If I don't balance any one of my business's budget for 1 year, the IRS is going to fuck me. It's over. And so when a country is not balanced on its budget, it can't run like a business. They keep printing more money. They create inflation. Employees and employers suffer. And that's really what's happening.
So what about, because that's long term, and that's it. You can immediately vote for somebody. Well, actually, you can't always, because you have to wait for the right times to do it. So I guess that is more long term. But what about the person who is, they got to eat today? They have a baby to feed today. They have diapers to buy today, or whatever it is, right? They have a family to provide for, and they're in a situation where they thought they were doing okay, but it turns out everything going around them, they're not, and they're stuck with, I have a bunch of friends that they're doing DoorDash and, picking up groceries for people. And again, no shade thrown, any of those things. It's like, you have to do what you have to do. But in your mind, let's say you were not who you were today, you didn't have the things that you have today, what would be some things that you would recommend someone do to kind of pull themselves out of that
Good
that
question.
trap?
So if I was a working class person and I was like, holy crap, I realize now since 2020, all this inflation and stuff, even though I got a bit of a raise, 3-4% raise, it's nowhere near what I should have gotten to keep up with inflation. And therefore, there's way less money in my bank account. My credit card debt is higher. If I want to start making more money tomorrow, I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to tighten the belt. I'm going to go through every one of my expenses and go, what can I cancel? I know people that have a Spotify and iTunes and a Pandora membership, right? Then you got your Netflix and you got your Amazon membership. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, do you really need all those memberships? Do you really need that? You stupid fuck. Maybe you ought to be out there getting a second job instead of Netflix and chilling with yourself and your donut. And so I share this with you because number one, you got to tighten the belt and actually start living off your means. Number two, I would go to my employer first and I would say, hey, Leighton, I would like another 5%, 6%, 10% raise. However, here's what I'm going to do to make the company more money. And that is the number one mistake people make, employees, working class people make, is they go to their employers and they go, you know, my roommate moved out and so I need to ask you for a raise. I'm not your fucking daddy. I'm not going to give you a raise because your roommate moved out or your boyfriend dumped you or the ice cream licking Joe Biden decided to create inflation and recession and all this stuff. What you got to do is come to me and say, hey, here's how I'm going to make you more money from this day forward. I did the research and I figured out 10 different ways I can make you more money. I can get into the DMs and get you leads. I can learn how to sell and close deals. And then I can make money off commission plus my salary and da-da-da. But if I could do all that, will you give me an 8% raise? The answer is always going to be yes. If you can make me more money, I will share some of that money with you. But if you just want to raise, sorry, Charlie, it ain't going to happen.